Good morning. Elle Ingalls here at pressure-free.com. The other day, somebody asked me, what is the stress response and how do I know if I'm being affected by it? So that's what I want to dive into on this episode here because I think there can be some easy ways to understand this, but then some very subtle ones. So what is this stress response? I define stress very specifically. So, we hear that word bandied about all the time, stress, anxiety, um, and I have a very specific definition. So there are stressors, challenges, triggers, stimuli that are affecting us. Um, and that to me is not stress. It's only stress. Our body is really only stressed if we've released the fight or flight stress hormones. So if we've triggered the stress response. Let me give an example here. So let's say I have an appointment in an hour and I'm running late. If I start rushing about and my heart rate starts charging up, chances are my brain has sent a couple of signals, one to my heart, one directly to my adrenal glands, that's saying, you need to rush, you need to hurry, you're going to be late. You're in a threatening position. So I would release those hormones, and now I'm kind of rushing about, and I can't find my keys, and I'm picking things up and putting them down, and it's like a little bit of chaos, if you will. Compare that to, oh, I see that I'm running late. I don't get all charged up. I very calmly just take my phone and my pen and I put everything in my backpack, whatever I need for my meeting. And then I very calmly walk out the door, don't rush. I get in my car, and no matter what the traffic is or what's happening, I just know I'm going to get there when I get there. When I was a girl, there were no clocks in the car. You didn't know what time it was. Now we take the seconds away with that little blinking light in our car. We just go where we're going. I have some clients who try to beat their GPS, and they have the really expensive kind that already knows how fast they drive. So it's like, what's going on here? We're in this rush society. So that would be the difference of I'm experiencing a stressor. I may be late to this meeting, but I'm not overreacting to it, releasing these hormones. And now I'm in a different state. I'm in a state where my mind and body are not going to function as well. So that's just a little description of it. We have this natural mechanism in our body, and it's to protect us from a true physical threat. So if I was out on the road and suddenly I'm in a car crash and I need to act immediately because my gas tank is leaking, I need to immediately react. I don't need to sit in my car and think, is the gas leak bad enough that I need to get out of my car? We're not going to be cognitively thinking. Our body is designed to instantly react in fight or flight. So hopefully that gives you a little idea of what's happening. And because for millennia, as humans, our ancestors had a lot of physical threats happening to them. This mechanism can be triggered very, very quickly. And you might think that we're creating a safer society, though that could be very much in question today. I don't think we learn from history. We don't learn from the past very well. So we have created a society that I see today, and I think technology plays a role, though I'm not going to bet all my money that this is the issue, because I think humans have always done things like compare themselves to others. What I think really advances that kind of nervousness and anxiety about being perfect and needing to, be like the Joneses, like all of that. I think it really started with the advent of the media, access to media, immediate access to media, where people started to see movie stars and, people that they wouldn't come in contact with on a daily basis, just walking around their town. And suddenly there's this desire to look a certain way or be a certain way. Um, that changed a lot for people. The instant availability of media. I think that's really one of the biggest stressors today, is that it's even more instant and even more, um, what's the word for it? Um, it's it's prevalent, and it's as if you don't partake, then you're out of the loop. Like I have an uncle who doesn't have a smartphone in New Hampshire. There's people, I love coming to New England because there's people in New Hampshire, and you probably find them in your state too, that they don't have computers, they don't have internet, they don't do any of that. They live the way we lived for a long, long time. I'm here in a cabin right now. I got a stove, right? There's a little other heater over there too, but it's just interesting how we've changed our living so quickly in these past couple of decades. Those are stressors. So how do you notice it? One of the quickest ways to notice is to just do a body scan. Take a really good look at yourself. I think that was the Saturday Night Live skin slide. Just take a look at yourself, right? But really take a look at yourself. Like, look at your face. One of the signs that I will see when I'm working with a client, and I love doing it on Zoom because they get to see themselves too. When they start talking about an issue that is stressing them, they will start having lines here. Their face will get really tight and their jaw will get really tight. So if you do a scan, if you're a grinder, if your jaw is clenching and you have tension here, if you have tension here, if you have lines here, that's a sign most likely that you've been triggering this stress response pretty chronically and keep coming here and keep tightening. We tighten the front of our body on purpose as body armor. We tighten our face. If we have a tight and ugly face, the predator or whatever's coming after us might be repelled by it. We tighten the front here to protect organs, but we have ribs. The place we tighten the most is our belly. So notice if you're holding your belly really tightly. I have some clients that it's really, really hard for them to get their belly to relax. And it's years and years of holding it really tight and protecting, because our abs act like body armor to protect ourselves. So a body scan is one of the fastest ways. Hands are a clue. If you hold your hands tightly, I had one client who had scars on her hands from tightening so much, and her fingernails literally digging into her hands. Your feet may be holding tension inside your shoes. I've seen that before. Um, Maybe you like wrap your legs around the chair, or always have to have your legs crossed. That's also a clue. I just had my legs crossed. So just a quick body scan. One of my clients, corporate clients, she would put a little chime every hour on her computer, just a gentle little chime, and she would just sit and do a body scan and just relax wherever those tensions were happening. A lot of people have tension in the shoulder, so that's a clue too. If you have a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders, your neck is hurts. Pain is a clue. Are you on medications? That's a clue. So anything happening chronically through time, health-wise, mentally or physically, if that's happening chronically, then there's a root cause in the release of these stress hormones. I have traced almost every single disease that my clients have presented me with, and me myself and my family members, like every single one, to how the stress hormones affect our body organs and our cells and our immune system, our mental capacity. I've had students who have been diagnosed ADHD. There is no ADHD brain. Those symptoms exactly match the release of the first flood of hormones. Not in all people, by the way, but because we all present differently. That's another question that I got. I was talking about it recently on a podcast, how and someone asked me this, they go, doesn't stress present differently in people? It sure does. Some people never have jaw tension and migraines and tension up here, but their gut is really messed up. You can read the textbook of what, a psychology textbook, and read what is the stress response and what it does. I recently came across the best, the most technical, the best thing on the stress response. It has over 499 citations, so you can imagine how large this report is. It was done in the early 2000s, and It was actually trying to define what is stress. And yet still with all of these citations and all of this knowledge all piled into this one the most comprehensive piece on the stress response I've come across so far, um, there's still so many questions. And that's what I've experienced with my clients is that every one of us is a little bit different in how we present and what's happening. Some of it is so hidden. That's why stress is called the silent killer. It's not stress, it's a release of the stress response. So for my clients, you're like, I love stress. I love pressure makes diamonds. I love, challenges. Me too. I love challenges. Here's the key. Are those challenges and is that stress causing a release of stress hormones? If it isn't, go for it. Fly like the wind. But if it is, there's going to be some breakdown in your body's ability, both mentally and physically, to perform at your highest level. That is, to me, why I call myself a performance coach. Like you could say I'm a stress management coach. No, we don't manage stress. What I teach people to do is see what's happening and interrupt the stress response. There's really no management of it. It's you're going to get hit with all sorts of challenges in your lifetime, and all sorts of things come at you from out of the blue, and it's those things. So when you're first learning this method with me, you'll probably catch certain triggers right away. Some really big ones or funny ones. Like one of mine was how my front door stuck in my old house, and I'd have to put everything down and pull the handle and turn the key to get inside. And that was a trigger for me. I was so annoyed that I triggered this stress response, not just when I was at my door, but even prior to arriving to my door, like I'd be driving home or walking home from the college, and I would trigger. And I had no idea. Like solving that one little thing, how many times am I going in and out of my door? It was a game changer for me. So you may notice some really funny things that you trigger over. And I always say laugh, don't, because otherwise you could really cry, because you may have been overreacting to some things for decades or years, depending on how old you are. And so at first you'll probably catch a few things, and that's going to give you some progress. But I was recently talking to a colleague of mine who's known about pressure free and been working with me for years. And they were saying how, yeah, there's other levels though, aren't there? There most certainly are. I think one of the hardest levels to really dig into is some of the subconscious triggers that we have that we're not even aware is causing us to go into fight or flight. And that's where I say the body leaves clues. Like if you're just sitting working on something and all of a sudden some memory pops in your head that was an embarrassment um or life threatening, or something happened to you in the past, like this memory comes up while you're just trying to work, your shoulders are probably going to go up. Like you're going to get a little tension in your hands. Like that's why I say your body can really be a resource for you to understand what really is causing you to overreact just in your mind. So that's not an overreaction of what you say or do, which we do often, but it's just, your thoughts in your mind. Like, where are you going in your mind? So I hope this is helpful. It takes time to really untangle all of these things that have been working on us for a long time. And again, there are various levels of up leveling. But even just in the very beginning, if you can see some of those key things, it's incredible what can start to happen for your well-being. Like it really is. And your performance. Your performance at work, your performance at home, in any of your activities, if you're a weekend warrior, whatever it is that you do, you will just see an ability start to develop in you that you didn't have before. And that's because of how much these stress hormones really deplete us. So if this intrigues you and you want to learn some more, I've been working on this now for almost 16 years and have created a method that truly does interrupt the stress response and allows us to flourish in a way I never dreamed would be possible. So you can check out my website, lingalls.com. There's a little button. You can just book a call with me. I would love to have a conversation with you, because whether this is for you, your team, if you have a work situation, if you run a conference. One of my friends just hired me to run speak at a conference she runs. So, groups of any size, and of course the individual work I do, because stress is how we experience stress is just so unique. I customize what I do when I'm working with someone one-on-one. I wish you a great pressure-free day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.